Australia is notorious for its strange, almost mythical animals, but you'll hope to never cross paths with these ones. Most terrifying creatures found in Australia. Box jellyfish. The box jellyfish doesn't get its name for taking people into the ring, but for its box-like bell. However, even if this jelly did challenge its prey to the boxing ring, very few would be able to survive even the first round. It's one of the only types of jellyfish that don't go with the tide flow, but instead swim through their waves in search of their targets. With up to 15 tentacles at each bell corner alone, it has as many as 60 tentacles to cling to and envenom its prey. That venom is no joking matter, as it's evolved to directly go after the heart and nervous system. At the very least, it instantly stuns its victims. One type of box jellyfish, the irukandji, is only 3 centimeters long but is so terrifying that it has a syndrome named after it. Irukandji syndrome causes the jellyfish's victims to feel an overwhelming sense of impending doom as their brains hemorrhage. It's safe to say that if you see a marine stinger's warning sign while taking a beach day, it's best to steer clear of those waters entirely. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of all our upcoming videos. And if you end up enjoying this one, hit the like button before you go. Common death adder. The name of this snake speaks for itself. The common death adder is a patient but highly effective predator, camouflaging itself in wooden scrubland foliage as it waits for its prey to come within striking distance. Unlike the rattlesnake, which shakes its tail to warn predators of its dangerous presence, the common death adder's tapered tail wriggles like bait to lure unsuspecting prey. The adder's neurotoxic bite means that paralysis quickly spreads throughout its victims' bodies, stopping all motor and sensory functions, including necessary ones like breathing. Before an antivenom was created in 1958, an estimated 50% of people bit by the common death adder experienced just what its name suggests. That number has dropped significantly since then, but the antivenom isn't useful to more than humans. A death adder bite is a pet owner's worst nightmare in Australia. Paralysis tick. Vampires have gone from being terrifying monsters to beloved, misunderstood creatures, but some bloodsuckers are just as dangerous as they've always been. In the eastern coast of Australia, the paralysis tick burrows into the skin and drinks its fill from its hosts. However, it's not the blood drinking you should be afraid of. The tick only drinks a few milliliters from its host at most. It's the bite's saliva you should worry about. The Australian paralysis tick is unusual for the dangerous potency of its bite, which causes localized but severe paralysis in its victims. While its natural prey, such as koalas and bandicoots, have evolved countermeasures against it, those historically less common hosts are much more susceptible. Every year, tens of thousands of cats and dogs don't survive their time as blood donors. Although much less severe, more than 20 humans have fatally succumbed to the tick's neurolytic toxin as well. Cone shell. If you've ever watched SpongeBob, then you're well aware of the sea snail. However, the Australian coneshell sea snail is a lot more dangerous than Gary could ever hope to be. While it may be as slow as its landslide brethren, the coneshell is nothing to laugh at. Its prey often have no idea that they've been struck by its venomous bite, as they're nearly instantly numbed and paralyzed. Hours or days can pass before its meal truly understands what happened, but most don't have that long. They're unaware of their doom even as the barbed end of its tongue pulls them close enough to swallow whole. Humans aren't a regular part of this animal's diet, but those trying to add to their pretty shell collections should beware. The sting of a cone shell can still cause numbness, nausea, vomiting, and worse for those unlucky few who come across it. Only a few milliliters of cone shell venom can fell up to 10 people. If you ever find yourself visiting Australian beaches, watch your step. Bull shark. You might have been scared of Bruce the shark when you first watched Jaws, but great whites aren't the worst sharks out there. The title of the most dangerous shark in the world lands squarely on the fins of the stout bull shark. This shark is just as bullheaded as you would guess, aggressive to a fault, and unafraid to back down from a fight. Sometimes the local territory dispute ends with one bull shark eating the other. It's a shark-eat-shark world out there after all. Bull sharks are also stubborn enough to go where most sharks don't. past their homeland saltwater oceans and up freshwater rivers to catch unsuspecting prey, including humans taking a quick dip in their local streams. It's important to note, however, that humans aren't their primary target. Except for the fictional Bruce, most sharks don't find us all that tasty. Once they know they haven't eaten a fish or dolphin, most bull sharks are likely to go in search of something more delicious. But since the bull shark is 11 feet long and weighs 500 pounds, the size of that first bite is often too much for a person to survive. Honeybee. Unlike the others, the honeybee isn't native to Australia, which is probably the reason why it's the cutest creature on this list. The honeybee was brought over from Europe in 1822 for honey farming, but those feral bees now out in the wild have a less innocent history. Their venom isn't all that harmful to most. A sting is painful but localized, leaving only a small welt for 48 hours to a week. However, 1 to 2% of Australians are fatally allergic to honeybee stings. Once stung, they quickly go into anaphylactic shock, with common symptoms being nausea, unconsciousness, throat and tongue swelling, and asphyxiation. 2 Australians every year fail to get the proper treatment for bee-induced anaphylactic shock, making the honeybee the second most deadly venomous creature in all of Australia. Reef Stonefish. Those snorkeling or scuba diving by the Great Barrier Reef should be careful where they swim, because there's a secret monster lurking among the coral. The reef stonefish camouflages perfectly within the ocean's reefs and sandy floors, as its stony patchwork of brown, red, yellow, and gray allows it to blend in. You won't see it, but you'll be able to feel its 13 sharp dorsal spines as they break through your skin in rubber flippers to inject you with its dangerous venom. The reef stonefish is the most venomous fish in the world, and the sting of its poison has been likened to a black widow's bite. It's not only extremely painful, but it can cause swelling, cardiovascular and respiratory problems, convulsions, paralysis, and worse in those unlucky enough to cross paths with it. We should consider ourselves lucky that the stonefish is a stationary ambush hunter. Imagine how even more terrifying it would be if it decided to chase you across the ocean shore. Saltwater Crocodile. The saltwater crocodile, affectionately named the salty by Australians, is a massive carnivore that should have stayed in the prehistoric era with the rest of the dinosaurs. Between 17 and 23 feet long and on average weighing 1,000 pounds, these beasts are fearsome just to look at, but are even worse up close. Crocodiles are another ambush predator, watching their prey from beneath the water surface before springing from the water and pulling their victims down into the depths. If their victim gets too rowdy trying to escape, then good old Salty barrel rolls while submerged to disorient them. And with the most powerful bite in the world, perhaps rivaling that of the T-Rex, there's almost no way the crocodile's meal will get away. Perhaps even more terrifying, crocodiles sleep with one eye open. They can shut off one half of their brain at a time, letting that half catch a few Z's while the other remains alert to predator and prey alike. There's no way to get past this ferocious beast, at least not without missing a few chunks. Sydney Funnelweb Spider. Australia is well known for its terrifying spiders, and for good reason. It's home to, among many others, the most dangerous spider in the world, the Sydney Funnelweb spider. This shiny brown and black arachnid has a venomous bite that paralyzes its intended prey, invertebrates, and by a stroke of evolutionary bad luck on our part, does the exact opposite to primates like us. While your cat or dog may be fine, if you catch yourself getting bitten by this creepy crawly, you have 15 minutes to get treatment. The Sydney Funnelweb's venom short-circuits the human nervous system, causing facial numbness, muscle spasms, accelerated heartbeat, difficulty breathing, and, if left untreated, cardiac arrest. Thankfully, with a working antivenom since 1981 and a continuous stream of 8-legged volunteers to collect venom from, the number of fatalities has dropped to 0. However, if that list of volunteers ever drops too low, we'll be back to square one as if we'd never left the 70s. What's the scariest creature you've crossed paths with? And I don't just mean from behind glass enclosures of the zoo. I'd love to read your stories in the comments below. 1. Blue-ringed octopus. While this creature may look beautiful, It's important to remember that brightly colored animals are often the most dangerous. The blue-ringed octopus is no exception, and its small size, only 5 inches long, means that you'll be underestimating its threat until it's too late. This little critter's salivary glands release a neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin into its victims that is 1,000 times more powerful than cyanide and has no known antivenom. Just one sting from the blue-ringed octopus is enough to take down 26 people within minutes. And worse, those stung might not even know they'd crossed paths with one until they're numb and paralyzed on the ground. The octopus's sting is relatively painless, but its effects are terrifying. The best the blue-ringed octopus's victims can hope for is complete paralysis, vision loss, and sensory deprivation.